Get the power to do more with storable websites. More marketing, more engagement, more customers moving into your facility. Storable helps operators do more with the most powerful technology in self-storage. Learn more at storable.com/do-more.
All right, we are ready to go. So my name is Matthew Beal. I am a product marketing manager here at Storable, and I'm the host for the Navigating Uncertain Time webinar series. And before we get started today, we wanted to give a little bit of perspective here, and so kind of why we started this webinar series. And so over the last couple of months, we've all had our world really turned upside down by the COVID-19 health crisis. In an effort to help operators navigate that crisis, we launched this webinar series as kind of a way to get a playbook to help solve those immediate business challenges that were presented by it. And whether that was creating a contactless tenant experience or maximizing online collections processes. But with the shock and adrenaline kind of wearing off from those immediate challenges, we're now looking to write a new chapter of that playbook. And we began this transition a couple of weeks ago with a conversation on how operators should be thinking about deploying automation across their portfolio to combat things like unfavorable market forces, the COVID-19 health crisis, and shifting consumer preferences. And over time, we're going to be continuing these types of conversations on this topic, but also other topics, in an effort to help you get ahead of the curve and come out the other end of this crisis stronger than before. And we've been using these webinars as the primary vehicle to deliver that message. And so wanted to take a quick look at kind of what we discussed so far. So last week, we had a conversation on automation with a roundtable discussion that included Robert Cheedy of OpenTech, Phil Murphy of Call Potential, and Warren Lieberman of Veritech. And they lent their expertise and perspective on how operators can use automation to be successful both during and after the COVID-19 health crisis. This week, we are very excited to have Joe Saffire, the CEO of Life Storage, and Chuck Gordon, the CEO of Storable. And we're going to be hearing from them shortly for a fireside chat. And then next week, we're going to have another operator roundtable discussion with some very savvy operators on how they're continuing to navigate this crisis and positioning themselves to be stronger on the other side of it. But without further ado, I want to get into today's discussion and give as much time as I can to Joe and Chuck here. So Chuck, I'd like to pass the mic over to you. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. Really appreciate it. And Joe, thank you so much for being here today. Everyone, I'd like to introduce Joe Saffire, who is the CEO of Life Storage, one of the largest publicly traded storage companies in the world. Very excited to have you here today and to hear your perspective.
Thanks, Chuck. I'm looking at our pictures, and we both have no beards in that slide, and now we do. It's kind of funny.
That's right. Yeah, definitely have the Corona beard going on for sure.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. So let's dive right in. Maybe let's start with a little bit about Life Storage and how you're handling the crisis internally. So, what kind of things have you changed? Is your corporate office working from home? What are you doing with your managers on site? Kind of what's your approach?
Yeah, so it's can't believe it's been 10 weeks now or more. I'm actually in the office today. I'm normally not, but it's close by my house. And to do this without a lot of kids in the background, I thought it'd be safer for you to have me here. But our office has been empty for since early March now. About 250 head office employees. We do have a pretty robust business continuity plan. As you can imagine, up in Buffalo, we have some snowstorms. So we were prepared for this. And we really put it into action pretty quickly, and it's incredible. As most companies out there in the world are realizing, your teammates can be pretty productive from home, and so we've had no issues. We're not in a rush to get people back here, and very happy with that. And then at the store level, that has been kind of a process of since the beginning of how to make our employees safe. Really, that was the first and foremost objective, and that really was day by day having conference calls. And fortunately for our industry, we were deemed essential across the board in all states, which has been great. So as some other companies are now opening up for business, they're probably going through some of the challenges and struggles that we have already faced and overcome. So just probably like most store teams, we've found clever ways to conduct business through drive-up windows. We've had to lock doors and use sign language in many cases. Kind of kidding, but we've done whatever we could to make our store teams feel safe. But for us, as you know, we've had our Rent Now platform, the online platform, for almost 2 years. And so for us, we were prepared for this. We were already, seeing 10, 11% of our customers use the online contactless platform. And so our procedures were in place. We were already doing things to make it easier to use that platform. And so now we're close to 50% of our customers using that. Wow. And that really has provided, our employees really that feeling of feeling safe in the office if they know that they can get the customers to self-serve. So that really has been the game changer for us.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, the adoption rate there is crazy, which kind of leads me to maybe another question, which is, which parts of your long-term technology or otherwise business roadmap have just dramatically accelerated in the last 2 months?
Yeah, that's incredible. So we were often asked by investors, where will Rent Now go? It was 11, 12%, and it was slowly growing since we launched. It probably started out at 8%, and then places like Austin, where you are, was higher than places like Florida. And I didn't really have an answer. I thought, and because it was 11%, we were able to, drive some payroll efficiencies at the store level. You don't need as much double coverage and so forth if a certain percentage of customers are self-serving. That's the real opportunity of it. So I really was hopeful that maybe we would get 20%. Our industry is different than airlines, where people do it more often and frequently. And then COVID hit, and we were also doing things to encourage customers to do it, and customers now wanted to be contactless, and it's jumped to 50. So that really has been kind of our 9/11. For the airlines, this is going to change our industry. I think people are more comfortable self-serving in many ways in life now. You look at grocery stores and restaurants, and people trying to take control of things. And this is a great example of technology in our industry, which is going to be here for good now. And we're excited about it. And we'll see where it goes. But definitely, I would say for all of us, we've all been forced into this. And we were one of the earlier ones. We obviously were one of the earlier ones to have it. A couple others had it, but some others kind of didn't feel that the industry needed it. That they wanted that personal touch. They wanted to upsell at the counter, sell merchandise, and those are the things that we're showing that we can overcome. We just launched our Rent Now 2.0, which is kind of our second generation, where we have that premium pricing option now, so customers can choose a premium spot or a value spot that's hard to rent and see the dollar difference from there. So, but definitely the technology has gotten a boost because of COVID, and it'll stick.
That's really good and interesting. So, are you finding that you're using your managers to call these people and try to do some of the things that would have normally been done in person? That personal touch, or kind of how are you navigating that?
Yeah, it's a good one. So what we are trying to do is encourage Rent Now for obvious reason, right? For COVID reasons and safety. So, if a customer calls the call center and they want to make a reservation, they don't want to Rent Now, we will send them links, to Rent Now process. So, if and when they're ready to rent, they can finish the process later. So that's kind of a hybrid solution. So it does involve some contact, although it's over the phone. And the same with our store teams. They can actually direct customers to complete the application. And that's kind of what we've been doing at the store level. That may not have to be the case in the future, but if they want to keep the door locked, they're not sure about getting exposed, they can talk our customers through at least filling out the contract on their phone, which is being used. Not all the time, like I said, 50% of the time, but that's something that's a little bit unique right now. So we are talking to our customers, as many of us are. We're all looking at collections and delinquencies. So typically that's not an issue for our industry, and it's faring well right now. So, but we are having store teams contact our customers to see how we can help. Sure. See what's going on, check in with them. It's not a hard sell to pay, but we're trying to be as customer friendly as we can during these times. So there is more outreach.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's a good approach. Okay, so kind of moving on to the state of the industry. I'll talk about this for a few minutes before we get into the future. What's your biggest concern about what could come in the next 6 to 12 months as a result of COVID that perhaps we're not seeing yet today?
Yeah, I think really heading into this, probably in March, we were all concerned about collections. Are people going to be able to pay, right? And all the REITs publicized the numbers, and they look pretty darn good. And May looks even a little better, which is great.
That's awesome.
Yep. And so that was probably the biggest concern. And then obviously the job loss, right? We're all looking at that. Yes, storage can do well in recessions as people look for new work, but it's not great. We'd rather have what we had, in February. So I think, as we go through the summer, I'm most concerned about a second wave. And as is everyone. And you watch the stock market. One day they think there is going to be one, or one day there's not going to be one. But I'll be honest, I'm probably more on the optimistic side for the storage business. I think our peak season, which is typically starting now, although we got the students a little earlier, that home buying and home moving, that part of our business is really important. I think that's going to pick up. And I think in the summer, we're going to have our peak season. We're going to come out of this strong. There is pent-up demand. We're seeing that in Texas actually right now. We're seeing some pent-up demand as Texas opens up. We're seeing some nice moving activity across most cities in Texas. So hopefully that's an indication of what we'll see in other areas. Even California seeing a little bit of nice activity. So I'm thinking we're going to get our peak season, starting June and July, and but the concern still is, well, will there be a fall issue? But it seems like there's some good progress with treatments and hopefully a vaccine sooner than we all think. But that's the biggest concern I have.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think we're all obviously watching the volumes and the delinquencies very carefully. But yeah, I mean, we just haven't seen major impact to date. I mean, even through May, which is normally the biggest ramp month of the year, at least on the square foot side of things, the volume, it's still like a little bit down year over year, but not much. And, if there's going to be some huge divergence in trends compared to historicals, we would definitely be seeing it right now. It's just not there.
Yeah, it's incredible. If you think about April, we were down about 15% move-ins, 20% roughly. And you think about it the other way, well, wow, despite all those shelters in place and people staying at home, we still had 80% of our move-ins. It's incredible if you think about it. And then May is looking much better so far, knock on wood. But I think, some of the comments I made about the summer, I think as we get out of this, we're going to see some new demand, some new customers who are going to be looking at storage, in particular businesses, right, for extra inventory, extra stock, hospitals, inventory. The governor in New York wants all hospitals to have, 3 months supply of PPE. Well, that's great. So I think they're going to benefit from that. And then some households, right? They may want to have a little safe keep of extra supplies and not feel rushed. So I think that's going to be and I've been talking to a few other private operators who have the same feeling that that there will be there could be a nice new demand for all that new supply out there as well. It's good.
Yeah, that is really good. It's encouraging. I think we're all probably smart to be a bit judicious and, conservative in our thinking, but certainly like the signs and, possible outcomes are good for self-storage. So how about kind of the future of storage industry in terms of M&A and new construction and acquisitions, that kind of thing? What do you see in the next, not just year, but several years?
It's hard to even say what's going to go on the acquisition front over even the next couple months. I think, years out, we'll get back to a normal. Even sooner than that, it'll be as where it is now. But right now, I get a lot of questions. Are you seeing distressed assets on the lease up side? And we're not seeing that yet. As you know, there's support from banks for most businesses now. There's the CARES Act for payment protection. So, I don't expect any significant opportunities on the lease up in terms of distressed assets. And then if there is a nice pent up demand, they should all fare well, hopefully in the summer. And then just acquisitions have dried up, right? Because how do you underwrite during these conditions? Where are rates? Rates are 20% lower than where they should be right now. What's going on with collections? Is the pent-up demand going to happen? Is there going to be a second wave? So there's a lot of questions. And then just debt. Debt is, really not there for this sort of asset at the moment. But it'll come back quickly, I believe.
Yeah. So are sellers just kind of holding tight right now rather than trying to get a deal done?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's been a couple deals that were marketed. You can ask the brokers. They've just pulled them off market for now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So on these webinars, we've been having a lot of conversations about automation, and you guys were definitely ahead of the curve with Rent Now having been rolled out a couple years ago and already been doing that for a while. Besides the online move-in, what are the other automation things you're looking at in the future to kind of take it to the next level?
Yeah, I mean, there's some great stuff. You had Robert Chidi on, I think last week or a couple weeks ago. Unfortunately, I didn't hear it, but I talked to Robert a lot, and a lot of the other tech companies who are focused on our space, and it's pretty exciting. I think one that we've implemented is the online auctions. Actually, I think we're 100% online auctions, and some of our peers are also there, and others are joining that. And you think about now how important that is. I mean, we're not doing auctions at this moment for obvious reasons, and hopefully we can get back to a norm in June and July. But just that, typically having 10, 15 people on premises, that's probably not going to be allowed for a while. So the fact that we're already implemented online auctions is going to help us. So that's a great innovation that we literally just put over the last year or so. So this technology can come up pretty quick, and you do want to be aware of what's going on and embrace technologies. You look at call center technologies and the ability to have chat and things like that. We're embracing those as well. And then some of the locks, the Bluetooth locks and the gate codes, that sort of stuff. We have not. We don't develop our own stores. We do a bunch of expansions every year. So we are looking into the locks. Our Warehouse Anywhere business, the B2B business where we provide inventory tracking, and obviously that's another innovation for our industry. We do embrace the Bluetooth lock, so the couriers and the companies can come in and out and not have a key or a combo. So definitely we embrace Bluetooth for that. But that's a good example of technology, the Warehouse Anywhere piece, and having RFID within a unit space has been great for us, and it's a differentiator. And we have a partner network of 11,000 stores. So many of the owners who may be on your call, they're probably partners with us on Warehouse Anywhere. And we see that business only growing with what's going on in the importance of online shopping and the last mile delivery, that Amazon effect. So yeah, technology is going to be key to our industry. And then obviously there's some kiosks out there. You look at what's going on in Sweden and some of those interesting technologies in the industry where it's really it's pretty incredible. So we'll see. I think some of that stuff will make its play into the U.S. and some of it's already there. There's some owners that are 100% kiosk. I think that could work for certain assets, but for some of the newer product, a lot of business customers, you really do need people there, and that's how we look at it. But you could have some complementary supplement of a kiosk or obviously the Rent Now. So it's great. I'm excited about what's in store.
That's awesome. So the Warehouse Anywhere is something really cool and unique to you guys. You talked about it for a minute there, but can you just kind of explain like a really high level what that is so people know?
Yeah. So it started out as kind of a network of that we built, about 11,000 stores. We have about 850, and then we have partners throughout the U.S., really in every state and every MSA, where if a customer, as we all know, pharmaceutical companies, they need lots of spaces all over the country. We offered a solution, which was like a portal where we would get them the 100 spaces, and if we didn't have a space, we'd go to our partner. We'd get a business customer. We would get an escalator in there for rent increases. It's more like a yearly contract. And then we would invoice them with one bill instead of having 100 pharmaceutical reps. That's how it started, and that took us quite a number of years to build that network. And now we've added a piece of we saw a need. They have inventory, but there was no way to monitor that inventory. We saw leakage. We had some retail customers who would store excess, luxury bags, and some of them would disappear. So we started to develop this technology, and that's what we're selling now as an add-on, where we have, for example, a medical device company, Allergan, and they have a lot of spaces with us and our partners, and we put in the technology. We have the technology. We rent it to them on a monthly basis. We install it into the unit, and it really is an RFID tracker. It tells them who's come into the unit, who's leaving the unit. It connects to their ERP system, and it's proving to be a real game changer for those companies looking to get product closer to the end user. They can't just rely on large warehouses anymore. They do need to get product closer. So it's a hard sell. We've been working to sell it. We've got some great pilot programs right now. I think it's in June will probably be the most pilots we've had in 1 month. So that's a really nice benchmark for us. So it's exciting. I think storage in general will play a bigger part in the supply chain going forward. And technology like this is important to make a difference and to get companies to look at self-storage seriously.
Yeah, I think that's just so interesting, and kind of the way you guys are leveraging the self-storage asset to expand into this new part of the market. I think it'll be great for you guys, but also there's potential for it to be really positive for the self-storage industry in general. So
yeah, without a doubt.
Okay, so how about just some general advice for other private operators that are out there, both large and small? I mean, what are some of the things that you feel like you've learned so far during this where it would be helpful for others to know?
Sure. I would say first and foremost, if you're not a member of the SSA, join now. They've been absolutely fantastic. Trying to manage and watch 50 states and different rules within certain parts of the state and cities, it's incredible. There's been a lot of noise around when you can do overlocks and liens and auctions and price increases and state of emergencies. So they've been a great tool and resource for the whole industry. So I would say, go to their website, follow them on Twitter, send them email questions. They have been great. We call them. We don't have all the answers. I would say talk to your friends and family, or friends who are in the industry, and maybe family if they're in the industry. But it's a very collegial industry, as you know.
Yeah.
That's the best part of this industry. I'm relatively new, like 3 years or so, and I just can't believe how people just want everyone to succeed.
Yeah.
So I personally call up operators that I know that I've become friendly with, and we exchange ideas. What are you doing for collections? Or what do you think about LA and their lien release? And we all don't have the answers, and you have to share, whether you're big or small. It's great. We have a growing third-party platform. I think we're up to 300 or so stores, and we listen to our owners. They've got great advice. They've been doing this for a long time as well, and we'll ask them, and we'll run our ideas by them. Hey, does this make sense? This is what we're thinking about, this situation. And so you listen to your third-party owners. So really, I think it's sharing advice, asking questions. Don't be afraid to call your competitors. We're all in this together, and we're all trying to, come out of this strong.
Yep, I think that's great advice, and it's so true. I would say that even prior to this, the storage industry was so uniquely kind of collegial, to use your word, and friendly and open to sharing. And through this, what we've seen is just everyone really coming together and saying, what do we need to do as an industry to thrive and ultimately win after COVID? So I've just been really impressed, and I agree, SSA is a great resource for everyone.
For sure.
All right, let's check with Matt here about some questions that have come in from the audience.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Wonderful.
Yep.
So, Joe, the first question came in. Obviously, like you mentioned, storage has been considered essential or not non-essential in all 50 states. But as some of the states are, expanding their return to work orders and the economies are starting to open back up, more and more people are flowing. Are you guys making any changes in those states where those are becoming more lenient in the way that you guys are running your business?
Well, that's a great question. We haven't adjusted what we're doing at the store level. We still are, we want to first and foremost protect our employees. So we are not, we don't typically have double coverage right now. So all of that stuff has not changed, even, where places are moving to a more open situation. They wear PPE, they have masks. We ask our customers to wear them as well. I would just say that we're watching each and every state closely, where we can now start the auction process where it would be allowed. So as states open up, we will look to kind of get that process going, and hopefully, June for sure we'll be able to do some, and then into July. So that's really the only change we see in the short term.
Yeah, auctions is for sure on everyone's mind about when we can start doing those again. So
Yeah.
June seems like a reasonable time frame.
Yeah, it depends. Some aren't allowing it, period.
Right.
In some parts of California. So, that's where you got to scratch your head. It's not like you're asking someone to leave their home. I mean, they can take their stuff.
Right.
We may just work more closely with those customers and see if we can help them, during these times.
Makes sense. Matt, any other questions?
Yeah. So another one, and Joe, you had mentioned that you guys were already, investing obviously in this online movement experience significantly before the crisis, and kind of got you a step ahead. One question that came up was, do you have any tips for operators in terms of how you guys are selling merchandise during that process while still having contactless experiences?
Yeah, that's a great question. I haven't looked too closely into how we're doing on the merchandise. I suspect it's down a little bit. It's not a huge revenue driver for us, but we are able to sell certain things through the rent now process. We do sell locks, tenant insurance, and we have for a while been looking at selling merchandise online as well, and we'll be moving towards that within this year. But in general, I think it's a little more challenging to sell merchandise. We can do it. I think we are just being more careful about how we're doing it. That really hasn't been the priority, as you can imagine. But we are looking to leverage our online channel to sell merchandise.
Have you seen, just on the insurance question, have you seen any sort of change in your ability to attach insurance to new rentals with so much volume happening online?
No, we've already had that process embedded in our rent now process for 2 years now, or 18 months. It's similar take-up rates. We still provide the opt-out if you have homeowners insurance. Obviously, it's up to the customer. The tenant insurance, as is a great product because typically most homeowner policies have a higher deductible. But it is what it is, and yeah, we've had pretty good success with keeping our customers belongings safe through that tenant insurance program.
That's great. Okay, awesome. Well, we're right about a time here. So, Joe, thank you again so much for your time. This was incredible. It was great to hear from you. I'm glad to hear that you, your family, and the whole Life Storage team is doing well. And best of luck to you as we move forward in this crisis.
Well, thank you, Chuck, and your whole team. I think this is fabulous what you guys are doing. I look forward to being a viewer for the next one. And wish you all safe, and everyone who dialed in, thank you for calling, and give us a call if you want a third-party manager. We're doing great.
Great.
Yeah, stay safe and stay healthy, everybody, and we'll get through this for sure.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, bye.
Very good. All right. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
Sure.
A couple of things before we wrap up today. We wanted to go over a couple of recent kind of exciting developments specifically for the Storable clients in attendance today. And so given the importance of automation, especially in the wake of the health crisis, we've really been focusing on giving our customers the tools that they need to succeed. And so a couple of weeks ago, we released our fully integrated contactless move-in capabilities across the platform. And so our team fast-tracked that release to ensure that you have the tools you need to be successful in your business, again, both now during the crisis, but also well into the future. And so these new innovations stretch across the Storable platform and fall into three main categories. One is we enabled online move-ins through SpareFoot. So that's the first time in our history we've done that, and that's very exciting for both SiteLink and storage users. We've also provided contactless move-in badging on SpareFoot, which allows you to demonstrate to your prospective tenants, anybody shopping on the SpareFoot marketplace, that you can provide that contactless move-in experience. And right now, during the health crisis in particular, that's a very important thing for people. And then lastly is the ability to send both SMS and email online move-ins directly from within your SiteLink or storage management software. And so each of these capabilities are now available to you at no additional cost. So if you want to learn how to enable these, we're going to include some Help Center articles in today's follow-up email for everybody in attendance. So be on the lookout for that. And then lastly is we've also recently released our best practice articles for both storage, SiteLink, SpareFoot, and storage websites. And these articles are also meant to help you teach you kind of the various capabilities that are already available to you in these products and how you can use them to solve the various unique business challenges that are presented by COVID. And so these are found on the Help Center articles for each of these products, but we also hosted 2 webinars, both for SiteLink and storage. And these were hour-long webinars that kind of took these concepts to the next level by demonstrating how you can configure and use each of them with live demos as well. So these recordings can be found on our blog, but again, we'll also include some links in our follow-up email today. So it's a lot of very valuable info, especially if you're one of our clients. And so that concludes today's webinar. So if you guys have any questions that come up throughout the week, there were a couple questions that came up. We'll chase down some answers and get back to you guys shortly. But if you have something after we conclude today's webinar, please send us an email at webinars@storable.com, and we're going to do our best to get back to you as soon as we can. But to everybody out there, we just want to say stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll see you for next week for our operator roundtable on the future of the industry. So have a great weekend.